Hi, Scone Mason here. For this video I thought I would read a short story I wrote called Flung. On a far-flung spaceship, we have created a new society. We are traveling faster than anyone ever has. There had been doubters about the theories of our propulsion system, recalcitrant calculations that filled hard drives, but when the pilot finally cranked her over, there were no questioners among our ranks. We travel far into the vastness of heaven, far beyond the limits of religion's dubiety. I have no idea how or why this spaceship works. To me, it is just a shopping mall filled with friends, strangers, and some jerks. But as we soar across the galaxy, I keep a few things in mind. Like how distant the stars really are, and how traveling among them was just a dream to our predecessors. We are the denizens of black matter. We live and travel at astounding levels of technology, yet sometimes I am distraught with thoughts of us flying outward from the center of the universe, unable to reach anything. In our first years aboard, we were disciplined and businesslike, as if enlisted in a spacebound military force. We kept rigid schedules, stayed in great shape, encouraged and helped each other maintain discipline with the idea that when we arrived where we were going, it was classified information, a stipulation we agreed to when we signed on. We would be a fit, tightly woven microcosm of Earth society that could set up our tiny bit of civilization on any planet and be successful. As the years passed, that attitude deteriorated, and we began to live much more like humans on Earth in a small town, with gossip, politics, friendships, and enmity. One recent day, I had the rare opportunity to sit down with an engineer at lunch. In the past, our paths would never have crossed due to the difference in our specializations, but since the hardline yoke had been relaxed, we were free to mingle with all levels of our small society with impunity. The far-flung spaceship's food court is like the jungle watering hole. Everyone comes there regardless of importance, status in the civil pecking order, or military rank. We have a military police force to keep us in line, created under the guise of protecting us from aliens, whom we have never encountered any sign of actually existing. I hesitated seeing his badge and uniform color, but I was surprised how easy it was to sit at his table. He did not look up when I sat down. They let us shop in the mall on most days to keep us occupied. Our 8-hour-a-day jobs are symbolic. The ship's course and piloting are completely computerized and were loaded into its memory drives before we ever left Earth's orbit, where the spaceship was built. It is not like the fictional Starship Enterprise, in which each day has a new episodic adventure. We are beyond the solar system, a distance vast and cold. We live in endless black monotony against a monochromic sky and astonishingly distant and unchanging stars. But back to the engineer. He chewed some kind of pasta salad, formed like the rest of our food from our waste, a fully recyclable system that kicked in gear many years after our departure, after our initial stores were exhausted. Food to people to waste to food. I asked him what our current speed was and the distance we had to go. This was the equivalent of tapping your father on the shoulder in the car and asking, "Are we there yet?" His eyes leaned toward me sidelong as he masticated the mouthful of what tasted slightly, to some who had not forgotten the original taste, like cheese-smeared noodles, and might once have actually been partly made of those ingredients. When he swallowed, he smiled slyly and said, "Do you want me to appease you or be truthful?" This answer surprised me. I was taken quite aback at being given a choice, but I told him that I would not have asked if I did not want the facts. He said, "It's simply hard to tell how far we have to go because I don't think anyone really knows where we're going, if we're going anywhere. By my current calculations, we'll never get there, though." I watched him chew for a moment. The noodles made his mouth make a wet chomping sound. "Wow," I said, "that isn't exactly the answer I expected." He shrugged. I decided to go with the truth. His words were sticky with noodle cheese. Well, I said, trying to sound very scientific and space travel-y, couldn't we just decide to go somewhere else that's closer, more attainable? Closer than what? More attainable than where? That's the funny part. Not funny like a joke, funny like reconstituted food smells. But you might as well laugh because you're screwed either way. What's the funny part you're referring to? I said. The part in which we realized that they fired us off into the great unknown. How unknown they weren't even sure. But the odds of us encountering anything are appropriately astronomical. I pondered this. Do you think, I said finally, it's unreasonable for me to be distressed with this news? That all depends. On whether you think it will do any good. Frankly, I don't think so. So this is probably the only shopping mall we'll ever go to again. It's the only one on this ship, and unless there's another one floating around in the vast nothingness between solar systems that we're currently traversing, which you put pretty low odds on. Lower than imaginable. What about going back to Earth? That's an even funnier option. Again, funny in the not funny way. It depends on the darkness of your humor. They programmed this ship to not ever go back to Earth. I stopped at this point to do some thinking. Programmed it not to go back? Why in the hell, I enunciated my next thought, would they do that? I think they wanted us to have more incentive to get where we're going, not give us the fallback option of returning before we do. Only they didn't realize that we wouldn't be able to reach anything. Seems strange, doesn't it? That they wouldn't know that? That they'd send us off into a void that, although it isn't endless, might as well be for our purposes. From your tone, I assume you think they did know. They suspected. We're an experiment in endurance, distance, and propulsion. That's all. Oh, and a way for the ship's manufacturer to make a lot of money from the government. Shit, I said finally. Indeed, he said, gesturing with his fork and taking in another forkful of noodles. What do we do now? I asked. May I use an allegory? Please do. They blew up their balloon with powerful superhelium and wanted to see how far, how fast, and how well it would go when they let go of it. And when the balloon runs out of helium, that's an accurate way of seeing it, I think. Holy crap. Right down to the food. He forked another mouthful. At these distances, how will they ever find out where we are or what happened to us? I said. We send signals, but they take a long time to get there. I see. Yes, you seem very astute, he said, but I could not tell if he was teasing me. Are you getting tired of this place? I asked him. We all make do the best we can. And so it was that my apprehension was validated. It was then I began to look for comfort in what we had to work with, shopping in the mall regularly to keep my mind occupied. I realize now that our fate is a simple one, to shop in oblivion as the small world we inhabit slowly runs out of fuel, someday to be cast adrift among the stars bearing the dust of our bones. And that is Far Flung. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.